What's up, winners? I'm Sylvia Chaglam, and over a decade or even longer, I have been obsessed with everything around people, around how to develop, how to turn ideas into reality, and this is all based on change and transformation, especially in this digital world. I have been learning, studying, and applying. I was one of the youngest HR consultants for an executive and was leading change projects within the biggest telecommunication merger in Europe. And I am today combining and blending Eastern and Western knowledge in order to help you to change the way the world works so we can all have more efficiency, productivity, and engagement and actually transform and change successfully. I have been doing this for ages and ages by myself, from almost homeless into a successful corporate high flyer, and today I'm excited and passionate entrepreneur supporting leaders and entrepreneurs like you within startups, SMEs, and Fortune 500 companies to create and make the difference they actually crave for. So don't expect any conventional HR and kind of those topics around this, but of course everything what is combined from street smart and book smart and many other things here on this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am excited to go with you on this journey and winx today. Hello, and welcome to our next interview here within our winx today community. I am beyond grateful to have you today, Natalie Brune. And before we will dive in, as always, I will invite her to share a few words about her, about where she's coming from, and what she's doing before we will dive in into one of the most amazing topics, I think, how to become actually visible with your idea. And you will see within a few minutes why she is one of the badasses when it comes to this topic. So Natalie, would you mind to introduce yourself shortly to all the people who don't know you at the moment?
Yes, of course. And thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here as well. Thank you for the invite. And I'm very glad that I can introduce myself at first. Well, how can I start? I started actually with a podcast, which is called Startup Schule. And because I wrote my doctoral thesis and I founded my own company, my startup. And this is why I had some practical and some scientific insights. So I combined it and put everything into this podcast. And then one day somebody asked me, why don't you coach this? So this is how it developed. So I became a coach for people who would like to become self-employed, to found their own startups. And I'm really passionate about new business ideas, about business concepts. And I love to support people bringing their own business ideas into reality and to start off, because I know that it's very challenging and to start a known business, and I know how challenging it is to have the discipline to really go on, even if there are some failures and challenges as well. So I love it, and I'm here. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you so much for your intro. And before we will move on, I would just briefly like to invite also the aspect or the part of you. You went, I believe, this year or last year to one of a personal development trip to US where you attended, I believe, Tony Robbins or some other events.
Yeah.
So I would just, in order to support others to see why personal development equals actually business development from my point of view, would you mind to share with us what the background behind this is and how it serves you as an entrepreneur?
I think this is the most important thing to keep in mind when you would like to become successful and found a company, that you don't ignore like the personal development part, because this goes hand in hand. I founded my company, my startup, that was in 2014, I think. And I was very Actually, I was very innocent. I thought, yeah, I can make it. But then I realized that that it's very difficult, and then you have some challenges, and that your mindset is very important as well. So I started reading books to surround myself with successful entrepreneurs, and I kind of got into this topic. This is why I surrounded myself with, for example, Tony Robbins. I went to seminars, and I kind of had the impression that when my personal development succeeded or proceeded, my business success proceeded as well. So it was very, for me, we say in German, aha moment. You know, that kind of
Yes.
excitement, that it's very important to keep on track with the personal development as well. So this is what I do right now as well. I'm a coach for business, but I have a business coach as well. This is how I grow, and sometimes and I have the impression that entrepreneurs feel, well, like yeah, your personality has to go on a next step as well, because the business is doing that as well. It's kind of like a good cycle. Yeah, your business grows, so your personality has to grow as well. But sometimes your personality grows, and you kind of have the impression, my business does not match anymore my personality, so this has to grow as well, or has to change. And this is what I like about all these this startup scene, and how people develop their own business ideas. You can change very quickly. You don't have to stick to one idea. You can try many things, and you can see what works well for you, and you can do some kind of pivot. This is what we call like the business model change. And yeah, I love it. And please keep in mind, when you are a business owner or a startup founder or whatever, entrepreneur, keep in mind to work on your personality as well. That's so important.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing so honestly. And this is actually a great transition into the next topic, the idea in itself. So, especially me, and probably many people, we have ideas almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, me too.
And of course, when you've just started to just even to think about creating a homepage or even any kind of funnel pitch, whatever, how would you suggest someone? Because we start with the idea before we will go and become visible, right? How
Yeah.
could someone approach this pivot, or just basically creating this one idea that you can start to work with,
Mhm.
rather than hopping on an idea train on a daily basis, because you won't be able to kind of keep up with all the ideas, right? So at
Yeah.
some point you have to decide. So how would you suggest someone to go through this kind of decision, to pick one, to stick to one, and to execute one?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because I'm a creative person as well. So I have so many business ideas, and I had so many, and I dropped so many, but I stick to some of them. So I think I'm quite of an expert here. But first of all, my first recommendation is not to judge yourself for being like a creative, chaotic person. Yeah, it's better than being like a very limited and not creative at all. So it's a very good basis for becoming an entrepreneur and a successful entrepreneur. But you have to keep in mind to be focused. So when you have a business idea, or at least you have kind of a field that you would like to work on. For example, for myself, it's always like the personal development sector, or like the startup scene. So this is some kind of branch that I picked and I chose. And I said, okay, if my idea is not very concrete at first, that's no problem. Just start. I started becoming visible at first, and I developed my business case on the go. And that's what I recommend, not to wait too long. If you have some kind of idea, just go out and present it to people. People fear, oh, somebody might steal my idea, or somebody might judge me. That might become true, yes, but don't dare to show up, because then you might, yeah, you can get to know people. People would like to use your product or service later. And that's the most important recommendation that I have, to talk to people. And that's, in order to be able to talk to people, you have to build a network. And this is what I did when I showed up, when I published my podcast at first, when I went started posting on Instagram. I got to know people, and these people, I could ask them about my business idea. And I can really recommend the book, The Mom Test. Do you know it?
No.
Patrick. It's a great book because you learn how to ask questions when you talk to potential clients. And this is what I would do at first. Business idea validation. Before you start building a prototype or an MVP, a minimum viable product, just talk to people, ask them about, because you and I, we solve problems. When we have a product or a service, it's always kind of connected to solving a problem, to bringing result, or helping people getting results. And this is what you can do before building a prototype or some kind of a first version of your product. Talk to people and ask them how, if they have this problem you think they have, or this challenge, and if they have it, how did they, or how have they solved it in the past, and how did they manage to cope with it? So you can get to know what they did, or you get information what they did before in the past, and how you can do it better. And you can ask them, why did this or solution you had for your problem did not work? What lacked, or what was the lack? And you can use it to do everything that people like. What is the most, the biggest concern that we always have is, my business idea is not special, so many people are doing the same, so I have to do something very innovative, it has to be different. No, it does not have to be different. You can choose something that somebody has already done and do it better, and put your own personal kind of flavor into it. This is how I always describe it. And you can do it if you really get to know your clients, your potential clients. Just talk to them, ask them, and then you can also get to know a lot about pricing, about distribution channels. For example, if you ask them, how did you find the solution for your problem in the past, and how much did you pay for it? So if coming back to your question, my suggestion regarding your question, how to manage focus, staying with one idea, don't try to take action with all of your ideas at first. Don't build prototypes for all of your ideas. Start talking to people at first. And if you see, let's take one idea, my startup caps keeper. Yeah, I would I
was just thinking the same. Let's just maybe take this example, caps keeper. Yes.
Yeah, and we are about to plan we had a pivot right now, a business model change. And we produce jewelry right now, and what I would do right now is talking to people before ordering the prototype. I would ask people, do you have problems getting into your heart throughout the day? You can use this, here, this is my little piece of, I love it. Do you have problems getting into your heart throughout the day? And do you forget being grateful, for example, throughout the day? Yes, I do. What have you done before? Yeah, I don't know. I had a piece of paper in the morning and wrote my intention on it. And where did you put it? Yeah, in my phone. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. No, they don't have to put it in their phone case. They can put it in my small jewelry piece. Yeah. But I have to get to know, this is my first of all, if you have a business idea, you have the impression, oh, this is great, everybody will love it. And this enthusiasm is amazing because it keeps you motivated and keeps you sticking to this idea. But you cannot assume that other people have this problem as well. Please talk to them. And people feel very appreciated when you take them with you, take them on your journey. That's amazing. And if you have the impression that somebody is as enthusiastic as you are and likes the idea of so many people, then you go for this idea, then you produce the prototype. But first of all, business idea validation in a small amount of time with no resources. So this is what is known as lean startup concept.
Thank you so much for sharing. And just an additional question to that, meaning, like, for example, someone is not on social media at the moment or doesn't have a podcast or any kind of Facebook groups whatsoever. So the question is, what would you recommend someone right now, how to actually reach out to potential customers or do actually such a market research to see if you can actually make your idea, if it's useful, if someone wants to get it, or how you can actually modify it in order to make it work for the market.
Mm-hmm. If you are not on Instagram and podcast or whatever, just do it, please. It doesn't matter how many how big your reach is and how many people you really reach with your postings. If there's one, it's one person who might be your potential or who is your potential customer, so you can ask this person. So just do it, because when you don't start, you will never get to this point when you can approach people and ask people about your business idea. So I would just go out, and if you are not sure what to talk about at first, think about, what problem am I going to solve with my product? And then you can think, most of the business ideas are made out of own stories. I had the problem that I didn't feel the connection to my heart throughout the day, and I had the impression that priming my day in the morning, being grateful and writing an intention, that helped me. So I can talk about my own story. This is also why there are so many platforms for founders that share their stories, because people love stories and people love stories of successful entrepreneurs. This is also what I do with my podcast. I interview people, and this is what you can do as well. If you are not ready right now to talk about your product or your service, just talk about yourself, about what helped you. And so you will see that people engage with your postings and that people engage with your stories. And you can use, for example, Instagram. This is amazing market research tool. Just make a story and ask people, if you're in the health business, you have a health business and we would like to improve people's life quality or whatever, then just make a story about, are you happy, or are you happy with your health right now? Or do you have health issues? If somebody ticks yes, just send them a message and ask them about a small amount of their time to ask them questions about your business idea. And this is how you can start, and you will see it just takes some time and some engagement. You just have to dive into it and just tell yourself, this is going to be fun. And I know that it's kind of, when I'm working with my clients, some people have kind of a resistance to show up, to become visible, because this, it's like kind of, it goes with some kind of vulnerability.
Yes.
That's a difficult word, you know what I mean? That you fear being attacked or something, but work on it. It gets better. I think you have the same impression as well.
Absolutely. I can just say that just talking to one dot on your phone at the beginning is probably one of the weirdest things what I've been doing.
Yeah.
So it's basically like you've just mentioned once, it's basically like with running, right? No runner is just born as a runner. You have to start to take the 5 minutes, the 10 minutes, the 15, etc., and build up from there. And this is exactly the same with being visible online on any kind of platform.
When I launched my podcast, the first episode, it was hell for me, because I was so ashamed, actually, because I had no experiences. I was, my head was telling me what are people going to think about myself or about me? What do are they going to judge me? But no worries, that's normal. And talk to people who have the same feelings, because you can push or you can support yourself. So yeah.
A fun story about that as well. Like you just mentioned, your first podcast, I was actually sitting here because I ended up in this lockdown for 12 weeks, not planned. So my gear is not with me. However, I was just thinking to use this time to make something out of it. So I just record with this basic thing here. I sit in a wardrobe in order to make sure that the quality is as high as possible, because it's not a proper mic. But you've just mentioned the visibility, and that we expect other people to judge us or to think any kind of negative thoughts about what we are doing. Reality is, I was literally dying last year when I published a video on LinkedIn that was saying that I dropped out of high school. I then finished and graduated at university. However, the week after, many people what I work with, who I consult, leaders, executives, etc., and people would approach me, sharing with me how brave I was, that they were seeing how I was suffering. But this whole act of going out there, being vulnerable, and seeing that you are actually stepping up for something what you believe into, cannot give you such a kickstarter for your own idea, but also the confidence to keep going, especially when it gets hard. And this entrepreneurial journey, I guess we agree all on that, it's basically on many days challenging. There are some wins, but within one day you might see one win and one kind of failure, and you have to get up and dust off over and over again. This is becoming something hopefully naturally for you. As an entrepreneur, you have to create this trust and resilience muscle. And this was one of my aha moments, what you've just shared. I was like, oh my God. And people then hugged me that I'm so brave. And I was like, wow, it's like really, I didn't expect this. It was actually the opposite. So you might be surprised how people see this when you start to showing up for what you want to create. And this brings me to the next question, Natalie, about visibility. I just shared my story. What would you suggest someone who has never ever been out there or is just basically starting out, how to start to become visible with your idea, in a sense of what to share actually?
Okay. My first suggestion is really be kind to yourself. I always say 1 is more than 0. So if you start, you can take baby steps. Yeah, you don't have to go live every day. I won't tell my clients you have to go live every day and share whatever your private secrets or whatever. No, you can start with postings and just stop for a moment. You can, after this interview, you can just sit down for a moment and make a 30-point list. This is what I always tell my clients. Make a 30-point list and ask yourself, what helped me when I had this problem, the problem my business idea is addressing. For example, when it comes to I'm not happy in my life anymore, what helped me? Meditation, for example. So I make a post about meditation. Or surrounding myself with people who lift me up. And this is what how I prepare my postings. I always think about what helped me, and it has to have a connection to my business idea, of course. And then I post it, and then I just see what my people or my followers, my community, what they want to get more, what they want to see, what they want to hear. I always ask them, this is market research as well. On Instagram, I make stories and ask them about the topics they would like to listen to in my podcast, for example. You can always ask people. And then you can also, I think everybody of us has someone or some kind of a role model who is also visible on Instagram, for example, or has a YouTube channel. You don't have to copy people, but you can see what they do, and you can combine, if you have more than one, you just combine some kind of the topics, and then you put your own personality into it, and you will reach other people than they do. So this is amazing. But just you have everything. Just keep in mind you have everything in you. You are ready. Just do this one first post and then do baby steps. And you will see, as you just said, Sylvia, that was amazing. You get used to it. You make it a habit, but it takes some time. And there won't. I think you have to be very careful, because your mind will tell you, oh no, somebody will judge me. Just I don't know, just love this voice in your head and say, oh, you're here, okay, I see you, but now I'm going to do this post. So yeah, peu à peu, you have to step by step. You are going to set up your profile. What I would do is as well is doing a commitment, for example, with I always I like the concept of having a business buddy, for example. You can tell them, I'm going to post what I did with myself. I had a commitment when I started the podcast. I had a commitment with myself to post every day at 9 a.m. And I told my friends, so they held me accountable, and that was amazing. Yeah. And this is the success cycle of Tony Robbins, for example. You have like a potential, you have a great business idea, but you have to start. You have to start to invest some time in it. You have to start posting about it, for example, about yourself, and then you get results, and these results make you more confident. And this confidence is important to take more action. So just go take action. You will see you will get more confident. There just has to be one person who likes your postings and who's interested in your business idea, who says, wow, that's a wonderful, wonderful idea. And then you will see like, oh yeah, somebody likes my idea. And then you keep going, but you just have to start. The start is the most important thing.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think the idea about getting started and just do the turtle steps, baby steps, however you want to call it, it's absolutely great, especially the idea to keep yourself accountable with someone in order to keep the consistency, because being visible is work. So it's basically you have to invest some time, you have to invest some energy into this, especially focus and start to do it. So it's basically not something what you can just do without any kind of commitment or dedication from my point of view.
Just let me add one thing. And if you get more concrete about your business idea, you can do what I said. You can just take people with you on your journey. Just show them a piece of your prototype. I think your people know what a prototype is. So just a first version of your product, just show it to them. Or you can do crowdfunding and then take people from your platform from Instagram, for example, and share your insights of your crowdfunding campaign, for example. Or what I did was I took people to events that I attended. This is why you know that I was in New York, for example, or Tony Robbins, yeah, the event. And then you get the impression, oh, now I have things to share. So, but you just have to start. At first, when I started with my first startup and I posted on Instagram, I really remember that I have nothing to talk about. I had the impression that I had nothing to talk about. So I just put pictures of how I scribbled of my mock-ups of my first platform, and I said this is my first version, and it looked so stupid, but it kind of developed. Yeah.
I think in a nutshell, it's basically a whole development of finding your voice, of finding how you want to show up, and you can always change it and develop it while you are actually developing yourself as well within this journey, within this process. Thank you so much, Natalie. To be honest, like I could actually ask over and over again, but we're gonna just wrap it up here today. Thank you. I'm gonna share the link because Natalie is focused on the German market. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're focusing on how to actually start a startup in Germany. And you have another great idea. You run, of course, the commitment and some startup Schule classes. This is how it's called, I believe. And I will share the link below. So whoever is currently now looking into something and wants to start, you can actually join the group. You can start to see how to get it done. You will get all the tools, the techniques, and most importantly, from my point of view, you will get sweet kick asses in order to make it happen, because the resistance will come up whenever you want to do something out of your comfort zone. And this is a journey out of your comfort. So Natalie, I will share the link below in the comments, and of course also in the publication of this interview. And at the end, I would love to ask you, like every single guest here, what do you think was your biggest win within your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, I think I could mention 1,000, but I would like to focus on one. We talked about focus today. So I would say it's really the network. So I started becoming visible. I started talking to people. I started one step at first out of my comfort zone, and I watched magic to happen. Some kind of, when I was brave enough to start my own company, the first one, some contacts just appeared, and I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. This person knows everything about what I wanted to know back then. So it was kind of magic happening, and this is how it developed until now. I got to know so many great people, and this is how I can serve people today. Like when people ask me, do you have a contact for, I don't know, building a website or a contact for funnel creation? And I'm always like, yeah, I have someone. This is just because I dare to go out of my comfort zone. I got to know many people, and I have so many people surrounding myself right now that lift me up, that kind of support me, that when still have them, the voices in my head trying to prevent me from really keep going. And then I can just approach them, I can just talk to them, and they say, that's normal, I have that too, but let's just keep on going. Yeah. So my biggest win is the network that I created.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's actually really interesting. I can agree with that. It's something what allows you to also look behind the scenes. So what not everybody is sharing actually, and get learnings and insights that are going to support you, but also to be able to connect other people and basically be a little bit of I think on a higher level of service for people, because you know who is doing something, and this is how you can help not only yourself, but of course also others as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and this is also kind of coming back to the beginning. This is how I grow as well. My personality grows because I kind of attracted people that fit my current situation because I grew into it. So yeah, the last thing I would really like to share is work on your personal development.
Thank you so much. So that's funny that we started it and then we're gonna close with it. So in a nutshell, idea, just pick one, keep on going, start. Even if it's just grabbing your headset and going into a wardrobe to share one podcast, do whatever you can with what you got. People are going to be happy even if you reach one person. And just to close this up, I shared one post on Instagram a few years ago, and it was one of the executives that saw it from Dublin. I was working with her, and the text was only, "You are enough today." And she responded, "Oh, this is what I've had to hear today. Thank you so much for sharing it." So even the smallest thing might be the biggest impact for someone else. So never underestimate anything what you create. It will reach the right people at the right time.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. Please do keep on doing this. This is amazing. You empower so many people, and I'm really happy that we got to know each other.
Same here. Thank you so much. I will share all the links here below, of course, Instagram as well. This is where you can follow and join Natalie, not only in her entrepreneurial journey, but also around the world. Thank you so much. Stay safe and stay healthy, and we're gonna talk with each other soon.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was insightful, informative, or inspiring. I would love to hear your number one takeaway. Come on over to winx.today and share it in the comments below. You can also provide any kind of question around remote work solutions, business and leadership growth, as well as holistic HR topics. I look forward to provide an aid to your queue. Stay tuned, winner, and don't forget, we can win X today.